In. So, good evening, guys. It is lovely to see you. I just said to the guys before I hit record, it is unbelievably windy. It's insanely windy here. So I'm hoping you're not going to pick up on any noise on that when we do this call. Hopefully it'll be fine. But we're talking about summer today. Summer is well on the way. We are nearly done with spring, heading into summer. When it comes to summer, things get a lot busier. People want to go out and do things more because it's good weather on the whole. I know it's a bit crap at the moment, but we're going to talk about how to tackle summer today, how to tackle your summer plans, not miss out on things, but also not feel like you're going backwards. And that's kind of the main thing. But first of all, I have just one little bit of housekeeping. Just to let you guys know that next week I've got my hen do. I know we've just had our legal ceremony, but our main wedding is August. That was kind of just like signing the paperwork, really. My hen do is next week. So I will actually be taking a couple of days off, which is the first time I've done that in a year. So I think I'm due a couple of days off. I'm going to be with you guys all the way up until Thursday next week. Then I am going away Friday morning, very early, and then I get back very late on Monday. So I'm taking the Friday to Monday off of work completely. Hope you guys can understand. I don't know where I'm going. All I know is that I'm getting on a plane. Everything is completely secret. And I'm not going to know until I rock up to the airport. All I know is I'm going to Heathrow on Monday and I'm going somewhere warm. So I'm doing that for a few days. So Adam's still going to be here. So you guys are not going to be left completely alone. You'll still have the group chat. You'll still have Adam. If any emergencies, if you need to speak to someone one to one, go to Adam. All of my guys. But check in for next week. I will not be responding. Obviously, last week we balanced it with the wedding and everything, and we still replied. Next weekend, honestly, I'm just going to be so pushed for time, and I want to make sure that I'm super present on my hen do and I'm really there and just fully engaged and having a bit of a break, to be honest, having a couple of days to chill. So I've booked the few days off. I'm not going to be replying to check-ins next week, but everything will be back to normal from the following week. Like I said, any emergencies, Adam's going to be there. You guys are all going to have each other in the group chat as well. So make sure that you really use the group chat, motivate each other, push each other. And I'll be right back with you guys on Tuesday on that following next week. I'm super excited. Like I said, I haven't taken time off for about a year and it has been an absolutely mental year. So I'm excited for a little bit of a recharge, a little bit of a rest. And I know I'm going to come back on Tuesday very fired up, very fired up. Hopefully not too hungover, but we'll see, hey. Anyway, that's the housekeeping for this week. Goal for today is teaching you guys how to enjoy holidays, enjoy barbecues, weekends away, just summer social events without undoing your progress. That's going to be the main theme of the call. Summer should create memories. Summer should be fun. Summer should be enjoyable. It should not be something where you look back and you feel like you're riddled with guilt or riddled with anxiety or riddled with pressure about figuring, oh my God, how am I going to navigate all these events and not undo all my hard work? That's not what I want for you guys. I want the opposite. So summer is very challenging because social plans just go up. Things go through the roof. The second the sun comes out, everyone really wants to do things, which is totally understandable. But summer often means more holidays, barbecues, weddings. My wedding is one of them this year. Drinks in the sun, meals out, less routine. And this is where a lot of people really fall into the trap of, oh, I can't make any progress during this time because I've got too many things on. So I'm just going to enjoy myself and then I'm just going to start again in September. That mindset keeps people really stuck. And that's how people get stuck in that cycle of always kind of constantly stopping and starting their journey, their health and fitness and their fat loss progress as well. That's exactly how your progress disappears. The main thing I want you guys to take away from this call today is for you guys to see that actually it's not the barbecue or the wedding or the holiday that's going to throw you off course. It's that mindset of letting it make you think that you can't stick to things or summer's a write-off. That's the thing that undoes the progress. So the biggest mistake people make is they think they've only got two options. They've either got to be 100% completely perfect or they have to completely switch off. I want you guys to learn today that there is a middle ground. There 100% is a middle ground. We talk about all or nothing or black and white thinking all the time, right? And this is something that a lot of us really struggle with. And I know that me, myself, I used to really struggle with this as well. I used to think, I'm either going to do things 100% perfectly or I'm not going to do it at all. I can remember always being like that, like when I was at school, doing my exams, like when I was an actor, like so many things. And also when I started off coaching, when I started off running my own business and everything, I was like, if I'm not going to do anything perfectly, what's the point in doing it at all? And I used to really have that mindset. And I realized that this mindset was really holding me back from just taking action and from just making progress. Messy, imperfect action will always win over trying to be perfect. Trying to be perfect is just unattainable, it's unrealistic, and it's also not fun. So there is a middle ground that you guys can take. You can enjoy yourself, you can stay flexible, and you can still make great progress even if you've got plans. And the whole reason why you guys are here is because you want to learn how. to get an incredible transformation, but not have to give up your entire life or be miserable or never go out or never have fun in the process. If we do that, if we create an environment where we're not doing anything fun, we're not saying yes to any events, not having any meals out or anything like that, that's creating an environment that is incredibly difficult to replicate when you do eventually go back to real life. That's why things like, you know, Slimming World and Weight Watchers and all these sorts of things, like that's why those things don't tend to have long-term success, or I don't know anybody that's had long-term success from them. I might be wrong on that. Of course, I don't know everyone that's done it. But, the thousands of women that I've coached, things like that and things like that process, it's like, they work in the short term because they're pretty intense and they're pretty full on. And at the start, the weight comes off and you're like, oh, I've cracked it. This is great. But ultimately, what you're doing isn't sustainable and isn't something you want to be doing long term. So when you come off of it, it is absolutely impossible to keep the progress. So this is the biggest mistake that people make, this all or nothing, this black and white thinking. We're going to dive into that today and show you how to get a bit of a balance. Yes, of course, you have to make some sacrifices when you're trying to lose weight, of course, but you don't have to sacrifice everything. And that's what I want to really communicate with you guys today. So step number one for your sort of, I guess, your summer blueprint. Step number one, you need to set your intention before every event. I talk about this on calls a lot, and I talk about this with you guys one on one a lot as well. The reason why is because this is really, really important. Before a holiday or a weekend away or any kind of barbecue, social event, wedding, like whatever it might be, I need you to set your intention and ask yourself, what is my goal here? What do I want to do? Option one, continue losing weight no matter what. Option two, go for a bit more of a maintenance and enjoy myself. There is a third option, which is I'm just gonna completely halt progress and just enjoy and go all in. Obviously, that is an option, but it's not really something I'd recommend just because mentally it's quite hard to get back from that place. But I would say these are your two like really solid options. Either lose weight no matter what, or get a bit more of a balance and focus on maintenance. Both of these are really valid. What isn't helpful is having no plan and no strategy for social events at all. And also just making decisions emotionally in the moment, like rocking up to the barbecue, not having a plan, not setting boundaries. If you do things like that, it's then so much harder to actually stick to your plan because you haven't set boundaries, you haven't set an intention with yourself. You haven't said, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to stick to it. You're then much more likely to get swayed into maybe like going way over your calories or coming away from the process or going completely off the rails and having like 10 alcoholic drinks. Making decisions emotionally in the moment is what we want to avoid. So this is why your intentions matter so much. If you don't decide beforehand, your food is going to decide for you. You know what it's like. If you turn up to an event, if you're hungry, you haven't made a plan, you've got no intentions, you're going to want to eat everything in sight. That's just human nature. Your emotions are going to decide for you as well. Hunger decides for you. Peer pressure might even kick in a little bit. Someone might go, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, one day won't hurt, one day won't matter. And they are right, of course, but we want to make sure that you're setting a plan and setting an intention before you go so that you don't feel peer pressured into making a different choice than what you actually want to make. When you set an intention before you go, you're going to act with purpose and you're not going to act with impulse. And that is really important. Not acting from emotion, emotionally regulating and having a plan, having a strategy. That is often the missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to things like this. So, like I said, you've got three choices. Prioritize progress. So if you are heading away or you're going for a weekend away or you're doing an event, going to a wedding, whatever it might be, if you want to prioritize progress, this is the sacrifice you have to make. Probably minimal to no drinking, to be honest, because we know that alcohol isn't inherently bad. There's space for it, but regular drinking, regular alcohol does have a bit of a negative impact on weight loss. So probably minimal to no drinking, an early night, you'll have to calorie bank ahead of the event. You're gonna have to probably pick what you're gonna have to eat before you go out. Or option two, you can completely halt your progress and just go all in. It's not something I'd recommend necessarily, like for all of your summer plans, because if you do that, then there's potential of undoing all your progress. Obviously, every once in a while, that's totally fine. Like I'm going on my Hendu next weekend. To be honest with you, I probably am going to do maybe a mixture of a bit of maintenance, but I'm also just going to be like, I'm not trying to push for fat loss those weeks, those days that I'm away. I wouldn't recommend completely halting, going all in. What I would recommend instead is a mixture of both and getting a bit of maintenance. And this is what I'm personally going to kind of be focusing on when I'm away on my hen do. So give yourself a bit of a limit on drinks. You can have some drinks, just don't have 20. Alternate them with water. Do a little bit of calorie banking, maybe not quite as intense as what you'd be doing if you want to make sure you lose weight no matter what, but doing a little bit, just so you've got a bit of a buffer. Allowing yourself some more calories in the evening and maybe just being strategic with those. Planning something active for the next day. Keeping moving, keeping active, keeping me feeling like mentally you're still locked in the game. I would recommend either focusing on prioritizing progress for a couple of events and getting a mixture of maintenance. Remember, this is just a season of life. This is just a season of life until you get to your goal weight. Then you get a bit more flexibility. But this is kind of your intention and what you want to be thinking of choosing for these events. Step two, calorie banking. I chatted about it just a second ago. Calorie banking is such a great tool. Again, talk about this a lot, but the reason why I talk about this a lot is because I really want you guys to use it and I really want you guys to know that it's a little tool in your arsenal that you can use. If you know a bigger event is coming, if there's a wedding coming, or a barbecue, or just a meal out that you know about in advance, reduce your calories slightly earlier in the week. I always want to preface this with a couple of like, I guess, health and safety. I wouldn't call it health and safety, but just a couple of ground rules first. I wouldn't recommend doing this every single week because then if you do this and like slash your calories in the week, save them for the weekend all the time, that can lead to maybe some binging and restricting habits with food. So it's not something I would necessarily recommend every week, but I would recommend it on the weeks where you've got meals out. And I would also always recommend trying to calorie bank and trying to take calories away from your carbs and your fats, not so much your protein, just so that you're not feeling too hungry. But you can, for big events, just cut your calories slightly earlier in the week. For example, if your normal calorie target is 2,000 calories a day, Monday to Friday, you can focus on eating 1,800 a day or 1,850 or 1,900 a day. I wouldn't do more than 200 a day, but that's kind of what you do. If you banked 200 calories a day for 5 days, that's 1,000 extra calories to play with at your mealtime on the weekend. That's amazing. Like, that's a really big main course, or that's like a smaller main course and a starter, or a smaller main and a dessert. Like, that is a lot of food extra on top of your daily calories for that day as well. It gives you flexibility over the weekend or over the big events without feeling guilty. So, like I said, I don't recommend using it every week, but it's really helpful when you have plans, really helpful when you have these things happening. Summer is about weekly averages. Most people panic after one meal. They go out for one meal in a restaurant, which has more salt, more carbs. They get less sleep. They maybe have a glass of wine. They step on the scales the next day and they freak out and they panic. But fat loss is more gradual. Fat loss is not determined by one meal. Fat loss happens over weeks and months and years, honestly, as well. All of you guys have got long-term weight loss goals. It is not decided over one barbecue or one wedding or one meal on holiday. I need you to start zooming out and not thinking so granularly about day to day and really start thinking about your goal in terms of months and a year plus. I need you to start zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. It takes a lot of pressure off because you're then like, okay, well, if I've gone on holiday for a week and I focus on maintenance, 1 week out of 52 weeks of the year is a tiny fraction of how long my goal is probably going to take. It really helps to alleviate the pressure and to maybe not sweat the small stuff so much as well. So this is just something for you guys to remember. The holiday mindset shift. I want to talk specifically about going on holiday. Now, here is my philosophy. We do not get a chance to go on holiday very much throughout the year, as much as we would like, I'm sure. You get one holiday a year if you're lucky, maybe two if you're like super, super lucky. I personally, my philosophy is regardless of my goal, holidays for me are not about pushing for fat loss. They're just not. Holidays for me, if I'm in a fat loss phase when I'm going away, are a week where I can rest and focus on maintenance. It's totally up to you guys. If you are like, you know what, I'm actually so locked in right now. I'm in a good place. I'm losing weight every week and I really don't want to lose that progress. If you want to spend your week holiday or wherever you're heading off to for a few days, if you feel really locked in, you want to carry on in your deficit, that is completely your choice. It's just my personal philosophy is that's just not something I would do. But regardless of what you're doing, whether you're pushing for fat loss or pushing for maintenance, you do not need to track every calorie. You don't have to weigh all your food out when you're on holiday. You don't have to just eat salads for the week. What you should be instead, and what you should be doing instead, is focusing on prioritizing protein for a couple of your meals a day for breakfast and lunch. Try and include fruit and veg for breakfast and lunch as well. Stay active. You can get some workouts done in the hotel gym if you love that. You can go off for a run. You can go off for a long walk, which is always really nice to do on holiday to like see your surroundings and enjoy those special meals intentionally. I always think that dinner is the main meal of holiday, right? Like dinner is when you guys probably get like dressed up a bit, you go out somewhere nice, like you sit down, you make an evening of it. That's the special meal that I would consider, and I would really enjoy that intentionally and not worry about hitting every macro or hitting protein in that meal. But also, when it does come to holiday, something I think is really important, don't just eat for the sake of it either. Like, don't feel like just because you're in a place, I don't know, if you're in an all-inclusive resort, for example, don't feel like just because you're there and there's unlimited food that you have to eat it just because you're on holiday. Honor your hunger cues as well. Like, if you're genuinely not that hungry, you don't have to eat. if you have your dinner and you have a starter and a main and you're pretty full, you don't have to have a dessert. If you really want one and if you're hungry, go for it when you're on holiday. But also just don't feel like you have to just because it's there and just because it's an option. But try to get in tune with your body and really think, am I actually hungry? Do I actually want this? Or is this just kind of because it's there and I'm on holiday? The 80-20 rule is something I want you guys to really think about for this summer as well. Successful people, people who smash their transformation, who get an incredible transformation, always follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of their choices, whether it's to do with food, training, whatever it might be, 80% of their choices are things that support their goals. But the other 20% are things that they factored in purely for enjoyment. So, for example, if we're thinking about nutrition, 80% of your diet in your week, fill it with whole foods, nutritionally dense, high protein choices, lots of fruit and veg, balanced meals. But the other 20% of your week, really make sure that you're having the stuff that you really love. For me, that's chocolate, or in this weather, ice cream. Absolutely love ice cream. The other 20% of your week, make sure that you are adding in those things that you like in smaller quantities and a little bit more often, purely for enjoyment. That is sustainability, and that what sustainability looks like. And over a long period of time, when you've got a long-term fat loss goal, that is the best thing to do because you're not feeling like you're restricting, you're not feeling like you're really deprived. Stay active on holiday without making it miserable as well. If you are on holiday and you don't want to do your gym workouts, that is okay. I never do gym sessions when I'm on holiday. Like, even if I go away for 2 weeks, I don't go to the gym. I will keep my steps up. I might go for a run. I don't like running at all, but Adam loves running, and it's nice to go out and kind of see where you are. So I'll kind of like complain my way through a 5K just so that I can go out and get some sun and see the scenery of where we're staying and also spend time with Adam. But movement is your friend during summer, but it doesn't have to be gym sessions, is what I'm saying. It could be a morning walk. It could be going for an explore on holiday around the local town, wherever you're saying. Could be going for a swim. Could be a hotel gym session if you really want to do one. That's also fine. Family activities, beach walks. Don't focus on burning calories and don't focus on, oh my God, I have to do this because otherwise I'm a failure if I don't do a workout. It's just about getting movement in and staying active, especially if you're having more food. That will really help you as well. It'll help you with the digestion, help you feel like you're still ticking some things off. But the main thing I'm saying here is stay active, do what you want to do, but don't feel like it's a chore and don't feel like you're slogging your way through it because you have to do it because you are on holiday at the end of the day. Protect your protein. If there's one thing to focus on this summer, regardless of holidays, really try and always think of picking protein first. Protein, we know why it's great. It helps with fullness, helps with cravings, helps with muscle retention and muscle building as well. And it also helps with better food choices. Just get into that habit of asking yourself, where's the protein in this meal? When you're building your meals at home, or if you're going out to a restaurant meal, think, okay, is there a protein source that I can pick first because I'm trying to lose weight right now? Really think of that. The barbecue and buffet strategy as well. I know that these can be challenging. You think, oh my God, there's literally just an abundance of food everywhere. Like, where do I even begin? Where do I dive in? Here's what I think you guys should do if you have things like that coming up this summer. When you're faced with lots of food, don't just dive in and just grab something straight in front of you. Walk around the room first. Like, walk around and just see what food options there are. Look at them all and then try and build your plate intentionally. Pick protein first. If you're at a barbecue, easy. There's going to be protein everywhere, so that's really good. But where you can, pick protein first. Then add some foods that you genuinely really like and avoid, and then build your meal from there. But just get into the habit of picking protein first. Just have a look around, see what there is, see if there's a choice that you can make that is harmonious to your goal. But also, if you're at a buffet and it's all sandwiches and crisps, then just do what you can. Like, there's going to be some situations where you're not going to have the perfect meal and you're not going to do the perfect thing. Just avoid loading your plate just because it's there and try and pick intentionally. And like I said, if you have one meal where you go to a barbecue or a buffet and you know that you're not anywhere near your macro targets, you're not near your protein, you've probably gone over, that one meal isn't going to do much for your progress. It's how you respond to it is what's going to determine the success. Alcohol this summer, just be intentional with it. Alcohol's not the problem, it's the mindless drinking that is. So some simple strategies for you that is going to help you to navigate alcohol, not feel like you're missing out, particularly for someone that loves to drink, like that's okay. But some good things and some helpful habits to keep going. Alternate your alcoholic drinks with water. I know that's boring, but you'll thank me the next day when you're not quite so hungover. Majority of your hangover is dehydration. So alternate your drinks with some water. Set a limit before you go to events. So if you're someone that's trying to focus on a bit more maintenance, say, okay, I'm going to this meal. I am going to have just the one glass of wine, or I'm going to have two drinks max, and that's what I'm going to shoot for, and that's the boundary I'm going to set for myself. Try and eat protein before you go out drinking. I know that's a bit of a gym pro-y thing to say, but it does really help. it's not necessarily the alcohol that's the problem. It's obviously when we've had a couple of drinks, suddenly we're really hungry. You're not going to think, oh, I can't wait to get home and eat my meal prep, right? You're going to think, actually, I really want a McDonald's. So try and have a substantial meal before you start drinking. It's just going to really help you with your hunger. Make some more conscious choices if you can, like some lower calorie drink options, and try and save your calories for food as much as possible this summer. If you're someone that absolutely loves a beer, or you love a glass of wine, or you love a cocktail, if that's what you really want to have, then fine, allocate some calories for that. Like set some calories aside so that you can have that. But as much as you can, going for some lower calorie drink options will just help you to balance out the calories and save some more calories for food. So, diet mixers, spirits, vodkas, gins, rums, they are much lower calorie than those other drinks. Champagne, randomly, so low calorie. And four glasses of champagne is the equivalent of one glass of wine, calorie wise. So, that's always something to really useful to think about as well. Especially if you go into a wedding, I'm sure there'll be some champers or some prosecco or something going round. So just be intentional with it, set boundaries and set a plan before you go. If you overeat, if you go to an event, go to a wedding, go to a meal, or even if you're on holiday and you're like, I've overeaten, it's going to happen at some point. Like it just is, that's life. And I want you guys to know that that's okay. Obviously, if you're overeating every single day, that is going to present problems for you. Fat loss is probably not going to happen for you, right? We know this, but it's going to happen every now and then. And if it happens every now and then, it really isn't the end of the world. When it does, I don't want you to punish yourself. I don't want you to skip meals and I don't want you to restart on Monday and just think, oh, well, it's Friday. I've balls it up now. I'll just have the weekend off and I'll restart Monday. Instead, hydrate, lots of water, get back to movement, get back on track immediately and get back to eating normally as much as you can and get back on plan. Never let one day become 1 month. People do not gain weight from one barbecue, like I said, one wedding, one holiday. Like they don't. They gain weight because they let one day become 1 week or they let 1 week become 1 month. That's when we really start to undo progress. So protect your recovery speed. I want you guys to think of the 24-hour rule when you go through the summer. If something goes wrong, if you go way over your calories or you miss a workout or something, just don't let it become more than 24 hours before you get back on plan. You think, okay, I've done that. I've made a bit of an error. Oh well, it's not the end of the world. No one's going to die. The world's not going to stop spinning. Just think, okay, I have 24 hours now. I need to make sure that I'm back on track, back on plan within 24 hours. If you can really get into that mindset and get into that habit, you're not going to undo any progress. You're going to be absolutely fine. So your summer success formula before events, before anything, set your intention. What are you going to do? Are you going to push and make sure that you try and lose weight, or are you going to more focus on maintenance? Plan ahead where you can. Obviously, there's going to be the odd occasion where you can't plan for things. That's okay. But where you can, plan ahead, set some boundaries, set some guidelines. Consider doing a bit of calorie banking during whatever event is. Try and pick protein first where you can. Stay active, whether that's a workout or a walk or something. Enjoy yourself intentionally. After, do not have any guilt. Do not feel bad for what you did. Do not feel like you have to punish yourself, but really commit to just getting back to normal immediately and as soon as you can. I promise you guys, if you can follow this formula, summer's going to be a breeze. Yes, of course, there'll be some days that aren't perfect, but you don't need to be perfect here. You definitely don't need to be perfect here. No way. Final thing for you guys, your goal this summer is not perfection. And it never is. Like, summer aside, the goal is never perfection here. That would be really hypocritical for me to say because I'm not perfect. Like, absolutely not. I make mistakes, I screw things up. Your goal is instead enjoying your life, creating memories over the summer, especially for going away on a holiday. That's very important. Just staying intentional and just protecting your progress. Yes, you might go on holiday for a week and not make any more progress than what you have, but you're going to maintain what you've already got and you're going to protect that. And that is a win when you are going away on holiday. Remember, one meal's not going to ruin your progress. One holiday is not going to ruin your progress. One summer, actually, even isn't going to ruin your progress. It's staying in these old habits of letting that turn into a long-term time that you're off plan and just giving up and throwing in the towel. That is what is going to undo your progress. I hope this has been really helpful, guys. I'm going to let you all go. As always, if you've come to this call live, put hashtag mindset into the group chat, whichever group chat you're in, and just put your biggest takeaway. And if you have any questions, you know where I am. Drop me a message. Great to have so many of you here live. Message me if you need anything. It'll be great to check in with you guys tomorrow and also just going through check-ins on Friday as well. So have a good one, and I'll see you all really soon. Cool. See you later, team.